Welcome to Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, episode 507. Tracy, it is first week of October 2024. And of course, that means in Albuquerque, we got balloons in the air. It's
Oh, yeah.
that time of year.
They were all over this morning. It was beautiful.
This year is hopeful. It's been pretty warm. So we'll see how that goes. But anyway, let's talk about the show this week. This week on Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, we're going to talk about the September market data because we're in a new month. I've got the latest on that. Some interesting takeaways from that for sure. And I want to get into that. Tracy, we have a special guest. We're going to talk about home staging and home merchandising. I talked with her earlier. I've got it recorded. I'll add it on to the end of the show here so you can hear that and really
That's
some really great tips on getting your home ready for sale.
that's when you threw me out of the
I
chair
did.
so that
I
she
did.
could sit here. There you go.
Exactly. And then Tracy, what do you have for us this week?
We have a property that's new to the market this weekend, has a grand open house, really special property. So we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about memories of Balloon Fiesta,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Memories and bloom.
We've been doing a promo for weeks and weeks now leading up to the Balloon Fiesta, where we've been highlighting each poster of every year of the fiesta and something of community, what was going on that time of the Balloon Fiesta, what the top song was, and the relevant news. But we're giving away a Balloon Fiesta poster next weekend. And it's a beautiful 2018 poster. It's a numbered print, 235 of 1200. All you have to do is get your name and information to us, and we'll register you for that drawing. But lots of fun memories have come up with that promo we're running of people talking to us about Balloon Fiesta and coming to see the balloons that we have up in our office or the posters that we have up in our office.
Yep.
You
Yep.
did a
40,
great job trying
45
to put them
years.
in order.
I put them in order, but yeah,
Yeah.
45 years worth of balloon prints here in our office from 1979. Yep.
Yep, we're just down the street from the field, so it's been really fun having the balloon posters in our office since we moved in over just 10 years ago. So
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about the September market data.
I knew you were going to start with
Of,
stats,
of
my
course.
Statomatic.
One really interesting thing jump out at me. And if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to go ahead and screen share so you can see the charts that I'm showing, but I'll walk through it too if you're just listening. First and foremost, median sale price for Albuquerque. And what we're looking at is the metro Albuquerque area. We're looking at all single family detached homes in the area, both new and or resale. And I do detach just because I want to narrow it down and get a really good sense of where the market is. And what we have right now is median price came in at 358,500 for the metro Albuquerque area. That's 1% higher than last year. And then that's median price. So that's the middle price of all the homes that sold in September. And that is, if you're wondering how many of those were, there were 679 single family detached homes that sold. That's 10% less than a year ago, Tracy. And we know that a year ago was relatively slow too. In 2022, we had started to slow down from those crazy days that we had back in 21 and 22 and so on. So yeah, it is definitely slowed down. And while in 22, it was only the first half of the year. So the number of homes selling is definitely turned down and it continues. If we look at pending sales though, this is what jumped out at me was we have 28.5% more homes in pending in September of this year versus September of 2023. So there was definitely an uptick in pending, and something really unusual happened is there was an uptick in the number of pending sales from August to September. And when I first saw that, I thought that's unusual. Usually we start seeing the slowdown this time of year. And what actually happened was there was an increase from August to September, more people putting homes under contract than normal for this time of year. Usually we start to see that decline. The question is it interest rates or is it something else? And we're not sure. One thing I also noticed, the number of pending sales, total number of pending sales in the market is increased over the last 3 weeks, which again, it's very unusual this time of year. Usually you see that tick down. So I do think that mortgage rate decline that we've seen, Tracy, has made a big difference.
I know we were on a training group training yesterday, and we asked people around the state who were on that and if they've seen that. And it seems like some parts of the state have also agreed that there has been an uptick.
Yeah, and sometimes it's difficult because there's whatever 4,500 brokers in the Albuquerque area, real estate realtors, and we're all working with people, and it's hard to look at anecdotal evidence and, oh, yes, there's more buyers, there's more buyers. Obviously, we have a big team. We've seen more activity. And then again, talking to other brokers out there, there's more activity. Yet at the same time, home prices, let's go back to that, are flat. And what we saw is that median price, again, only up 1% from a year ago. The price per square foot, though, is up 2.5%. So we are seeing overall, home prices are appreciating, but just at a very moderate pace compared to definitely the last 5 years. So I do suspect that the year over year price appreciation is going to continue going through the year. And we're not going to, we're going to have the seasonal decline, meaning I think we probably already passed the peak for the year for home prices. And it'll probably be a little bit slower going through the rest of the year. But the year over year, if you compare it to a year ago, I still suspect home prices to be above a year ago once they get to closed.
Okay, there you go.
Did you get all that?
I did. There we go. There's that beautiful market data for us. Tigo, let's talk about balloons.
Okay.
I know I brought it up already, but we were talking at a team gathering about people's memories of Balloon Fiesta. And I remember my first fiesta. It was in the early 80s. I was in college in Portales, and a group of us got in one person's car, and we all came to Albuquerque and stayed with, I don't remember who, somebody's family. And we were on the couch and on the floor sleeping and got up early, and it was really cold, and I was not prepared. Being from Minnesota, I thought I was a Viking and I wasn't gonna be cold. So I was freezing because we went at 4 in the morning, and it was a spectacular balloon liftoff, just, like, mind-blowing. This little girl from a farm in Minnesota
Yeah.
at the balloon fiesta, and at that time, they didn't cap how many balloons could be there. I don't remember how many there were. I know it grew very much after that, but it was just mind-blowing to be on the field and realize that you could be in the middle of them all, not just watching from afar.
That was my big takeaway from my first balloon fiesta, which was 1993. And I just moved to Albuquerque. I knew about the balloon fiesta. I was living in Durango and Four Corners, Cortez, that area before I moved to Albuquerque. And I knew of it because we would get the local news. We'd get Channel 4, KOB in Durango, right? That was the news we would get up in Durango. So I knew of it, but not until I moved here in 93 had I ever gone to the fiesta. And that was my big takeaway was, wow, you can like just walk around, like
Well,
around all
yeah,
the balloons and just be out with all the pilots and
yeah,
even help them fill their balloons and all that stuff. So yeah, that was my first memory of it. And then of
yeah.
course, Tracy, with our kids growing up here, obviously that to me was really the highlight for the balloon fiesta was when the kids were young and bringing them to the fiesta.
Which leads me to my other amazing memory that comes up every year in my Google Photos, and it was the year our son went without us, and my sister Jane and a group were all there, and they started crewing for this balloon crew from France, somewhere in France,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And they ended up inviting him to jump in the basket right before they took off, and we get the phone call and go, "You better go out in your yard and look for this balloon. Kolya, your son is up there." And so he got a balloon ride, and it was a really long ride, right? The box was in effect. They came up, they came over Corrales, Rio Rancho, and went all the way back. And as I recall, they landed at the field.
Yeah.
And it was a
Yeah.
long, long ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
So that was really cool because there was video of from our family down on the ground watching him take off, and there was video from him being in the balloon, and it was pretty awesome.
yeah. No, it is. Obviously we're pretty proud of it.
Yeah, it
And I think a
makes
lot of
us
us here in
special.
Albuquerque are pretty proud of the Fiesta and what it's become. And yeah,
So let's talk about the implications for homes and real
yes,
estate, right?
yes.
A lot of home
That
sellers.
was an amazing segue. Good job.
Yeah, that was not intentional. I'm not that smart. A lot of home sellers think we're going to have a lot of people in town and their house will get a lot of extra showings during Balloon Fiesta. And actually, historically, showings drop off during Balloon Fiesta. I have a theory. People get up 3, 4 in the morning, 5. They are in traffic for an hour. They go to the balloons. They have a
You're
burrito,
talking about the
the
visitors.
visitors,
Yeah.
and they're exhausted. They go and they take a nap at their hotel or where whoever they're staying with, and we don't see a lot of people shopping for homes during Balloon Fiesta. What we do know is Balloon Fiesta makes a huge impression on a lot of our visitors, and they come back later and say, "I came during Balloon Fiesta and loved it, and I'm looking for a place to buy now." So it's not usually during the fiesta, though.
Over the years, we've heard that many times from people that are relocating here. It's like, yeah, the first time I came to Albuquerque was with Balloon Fiesta. Of course, the other one, it was first time I came to Albuquerque, I was in the Air Force. We hear that
Oh,
one a
yeah.
lot too.
Or I came to Santa Fe and I had to stay in Albuquerque on my way or something.
Yeah.
Or I love Santa Fe, but Albuquerque's more affordable and I want to be closer to the airport.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't have huge numbers of people coming from out of state, believe it or not. I know that's
You
one
mean
of those
moving here
moving
versus
here.
visiting?
Yeah. Yeah. No, moving here. We don't, I know that's one of those urban legends out there that all the Californians are coming and buying all the homes in Albuquerque, which just isn't the case. Which leads me to a story I saw, Tracy, about housing affordability.
Okay.
We've talked about housing affordability a lot over the years, and we know that's one of the biggest challenges out there when we talk about real estate and just putting a roof over your head, be it a rental, be it or purchasing. And again, we've had this drop in mortgage rates recently, which I think has brought more buyers out. But I saw this story, and what they did is they looked, was it The Economist, or it was one of those publications like The Economist or The Guardian, I think is what it was. And they looked at the entire world and housing affordability. And actually, the United States is one of the better when it comes to housing affordability. Every country has a challenge with housing affordability right now, except for Japan.
And China.
Well, yes,
Affordability is
but
very
there,
different
yeah,
there.
that's let's call that a edge case or a different kind of different situation because the Communist Party owns the CCP owns all the land, so nobody can actually own the land. They can own like the condo, like
The inside.
the inside. But
Yeah.
anyway, okay, that's this edge case. That's a different situation. But the thing that was interesting about Japan, and this was from one of the housing economists that I subscribe to and follow. And he pointed out, he said, yeah, Japan is the only country where their wages have been stagnant for a long time and the population is declining. And I was like, oh, so that's how we're going to fix housing affordability is we have to get to stagnant wages and declining population.
Yeah.
Like, yikes, that's not good. So,
No.
yeah. And so, yeah, I think there's been a lot of talk about affordability and that the housing challenges in the political world with obviously election going on right now. I will say the good news is at least it's being talked about. I think a lot of the proposals that are getting thrown out there don't make any sense, but at least there's proposals getting thrown out there. At least we're having the conversation because we do know that that's one of the issues out there in the world right now is housing. Okay, that's my little politics section there, I guess.
Interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, homes of the week, Tracy.
So I'm going to talk about Westway Homes, a local builder.
Yes.
We are very honored to be representing some of the homes that they have built that are ready to buy now. We have 6 of them right now for sale, and they're in the southwest part of town on Sage Ranch Southwest. Doug Straywa, a great realtor who's on our team, is actually holding them open on weekends and really beautiful homes if you're interested in something new. A lot of people love them because it's quick to go over to the Air Force Base or downtown or UNM, new construction. So they range in the 360 to 399 kind of price range, brand new construction with builder's warranty and things. So be happy to share those with you if you're interested in knowing more about those homes.
Yeah, no, that's great. And They can just look them up on Westway website or on just in the MLS, and they can find them and go out and take a look.
Or we can call us at 448-8888, and we can connect you with Doug, who's the specialist of those
That would
properties
probably make the
on our
most sense.
team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
got it. Yeah, and just Samuel and I, Samuel's our marketing manager here in the office, and we were putting together some promotional stuff, and we are talking about, okay, what is it about new construction that really makes it stand out? Floor plans, modern design, it's high efficiency, it's all the latest appliances as well, which are more efficient and better and nicer and all that stuff. Plus, you don't have to worry about, well, I shouldn't say it that way, but the chances of you having any issues with the house for the next 10 years is small. Hot water heater, roof, all
Mechanicals.
those things, all those mechanicals and things that they do wear out over time, but with the new construction, you're gonna be in pretty good shape for quite a while. Just
Your maintenance and upkeep for the first 10 years or so will be less than on a resale older home,
yeah,
potentially, unless that older resale home just had everything updated.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's great. A lot of people just love that there hasn't been anybody else living in the house, and I find that to be pretty true a lot when we're out looking at homes. People
Yeah,
really love
the
new.
the new house smell, just
Well,
like
it's
the
like
new
getting
car
a new
smell.
car,
Oh, it is.
right?
I know. Yeah,
It's
it's all perfect and yeah, it's no, it's definitely fun and it's just something people should be looking at when they're looking at also, a lot of the builders can do stuff with interest rates that maybe a homeowner doing a resale home doesn't have as much flexibility. So builders can do some stuff to help with the interest rate to get that monthly payment down. Well, actually,
oftentimes there's incentives.
a home seller can too. A home seller can offer to buy down the mortgage rate too. There are some things, but builders generally do that on a normal basis to help get that mortgage rate down for you.
And now speaking of, I'm gonna talk about an almost new house that was built in 2022. It's 439,500. It's at 6302 Bald Eagle Loop or Place, Northeast Rio Rancho in the Hawk area, Mountain Hawk area.
Oxide, yeah.
Amazing upgrades on this home. These sellers have put over $100,000 into the yard and updates in the home. So you're looking for something in Northwest Rio Rancho, you should call us right away on that one. It just had a very big price reduction. It's only been on the market 3 weeks. They just reduced it by $60,000 to say, we're ready to get serious and sell our house.
Wow, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that house is pristine.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. We always appreciate it. You're
Yeah,
gonna
we're gonna cut away. I'm just gonna go right into it. I'm gonna add it to the end of the show here,
all
which is
about home staging.
Rach with Echinacea Home Staging. And like I said, I recorded it earlier. It was a fascinating conversation. So stay tuned. We'll get into that. We are the Venturi Realty Group of Real Broker. You can reach us at 505-448-8888. And we're joined by our special guest, Rachel from Echinacea Home Staging. And so home staging is when you merchandise a house. I use that a lot on the radio show where I talk about, okay, when you're putting a house on the market, you need to merchandise it. It comes from, unfortunately, the reality is that it comes from being your home that you live in to a product that you're trying to sell. And so, Rachel, first off, what is home staging? What does that mean?
So, home staging, I think people have a few different theories when it comes to home staging. I personally prefer to think of home staging as showing the full potential of a home. And sometimes that requires neutralizing, right? Sometimes that requires adding a few pops of color here and there. It's just always dependent on what the house is looking like in the very beginning. But it's definitely a huge help if you're trying to sell your home. And I've had properties that have sat on the market for 60 days. There
Yeah,
was one.
you were telling me that just before we started here earlier. So tell about that. You had a house here in Albuquerque.
Yeah, it was actually this one was in El Dorado,
Oh, okay.
Santa
Oh,
Fe.
Santa Fe. Okay.
Yeah, and so it was on the market for 60 days, and then I came in and I staged it, and it was under contract within 8 days. I had another one up in Santa Fe I just destaged it yesterday, and it was on the market for 48 hours tops, I think, and this was a kind of a lighter staging that I did. I didn't really bring in all the big furniture. They actually had a beautiful setup to begin with. It was a little bit more masculine and it needed a little bit of softness.
Got it.
So that one, yeah, that one sold pretty quickly too.
So the beginning, when you first go to somebody, it's not like, okay, here, I've got all this furniture, I'm going to rent it to you. No, you go in and do a consultation first. And so what does that look like?
Yeah, so I charge 150 for a consultation, and that's if I have to come out to a house just for the sake of time. I've been pretty busy lately. So I will go through the whole house and just let them know everything that I would recommend changing based on all of the certifications that I've gained as
Yeah.
far as
Yeah.
home staging goes. But yeah, just paint colors, changing around the furniture, things like that. And then that 150 consultation fee actually goes toward the total cost of staging if the client or the seller decides that that's what they want to do.
Yeah. So sometimes you'll just go in and say, oh, everything's great here. Let's move this around. Like you said, let's remove some stuff or let's add some stuff, just
Yeah.
depending on the situation.
Usually removing a lot, right? Because the clutter is probably the biggest issue in most houses.
And one thing I've noticed over the year and just a little bit of photography background is when you take a photograph of a room, it becomes two dimensional and all that stuff like makes it look cluttered, even though when you're
Yeah,
in the room, in the space in three dimensions, it doesn't feel that way quite as much. So that's
right.
part of it, right? I
Yeah.
hope.
And I think also, though, there's people photos highlight so many different little flaws that you might not even notice when you're walking into a home. However, we've seen over and over again that photos sell houses. Like the first impression, you've got somewhere around 7 seconds to make your first impression, right? And if the first impression is the photos, well, then that's gonna make or break your sale. And staging definitely helps with the photos.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And again, I go back to that word merchandising, right? You're merchandising this product and you're making it as desirable as you can for a potential buyer for your home. You think about what the home builders do. They're pretty good at this. They've been doing this a long time. The home builders knows what works and doesn't work. And there's a reason they have model homes and the reason they have those homes not overly staged. They have furniture in there, but it's sparse usually. And is
Mhm.
that really what you're going for when you're staging a house?
A little bit, but I want it to be realistic, right? Like, I want people to not be necessarily tricked in a way into thinking that they can fit more into the space than they actually can. I think what it really has to do with more is the scale of the furniture
Sure.
in the space, because if you have just this massive sofa and a tiny living room, then it doesn't matter how many items are in the room.
It
It's
does
not gonna look
it
right.
doesn't work. Oh, that's a
Yeah.
great example. Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying. What about color? Like paint colors we look at a lot. Sometimes you see some really crazy stuff. Sometimes maybe it's too boring. What do you do when you go into a house and you look at the paint colors?
So I would say to keep it fairly neutral, but don't keep it so flat, white, and boring that it just like a sheet of paper or something, right? You wanna have a little bit of depth to it,
Mm.
and depending on the other fixtures in the house, you may need to help neutralize some of those fixtures or use things that have a little bit of contrast because that's very visually appealing in photos especially. I did one of my staging certifications in psychological staging,
Uh-huh.
so that bases a lot of your decisions when it comes to staging on psychological principles as well as just color theory and how people react to different colors and preferences by buyers, right? And with color, I like to use a lot of like blues and greens because psychologically those colors are very soothing. And that's exactly how I want to feel when I come into a home, right? I want to feel at peace, like I could kick off my shoes and just hang out there for a while. And then I have some neutral bases as far as furniture go. So I like to add the pops of green and blue, though.
Yeah, like toss pillows and stuff like that or artwork, would you say? Or
Yeah, yeah, any of that. Also, I like to use like a little bit of quirky kind of decor sometimes, like maybe like a gold snail with a plant in it or something. Because if people are looking at tons and tons of houses, like dozens of houses, which they probably should be if they're looking for their future home, then they might not remember every home that they walk
Oh,
into, right?
wow. So right there, that was worth it right there is make it memorable, right? Make it
Yes,
so because yeah, you're right. When we're scheduling tours for a home buyer, there might be 5, 10 homes they're looking at. Oh yeah.
yeah,
So make it
exactly.
memorable.
So if there's one tiny thing that can stick out in their mind, like, hey, remember that house that was staged really cute and it had that weird snail? Awesome. They remembered it, right?
I remember when our kids were looking at for houses in Chandler because they're our son and his wife live in Chandler, Arizona, and they were looking at a whole bunch of homes, and this was during COVID,
Mhm.
and they would keep sending us photos. And there was one house that had a blue painted island, and then we kept going back to it saying, "Oh, the blue island house. Oh, the blue island house," because it was memorable. I don't remember any of the other homes, but it was that one memorable thing that made that home stand out.
Exactly, and it was blue, so it wasn't like a danger color, right? It
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
like red or bright orange or something that might be on a caution sign, right?
I did a house that I remodeled a few years ago, and I painted because it was like a mid-mod kind of style we were going for,
Yeah.
and I painted the front door orange,
Well, that's fine. I
and it
think
looked
it's
great.
yeah, no, and I think it's fine to get a little quirky, especially with the front door.
Yeah.
It makes it stand out more. And also, I don't get me wrong, I sometimes will use oranges, reds, yellows, and things like that. Especially, I had an artist's house that I was doing. It was in a 150-year-old home in Corrales.
Wow.
It was so cool, but the lady who had lived there, she was an artist, and so she had a lot of murals on the back walls outside and different fun things like that, and so I did add a lot more color into that house specifically because it's all tailored to each individual home, and that's why I call myself a boutique home staging company because I am very deliberate and careful about everything that I choose for each one of my homes, and I do this as a creative outlet. This is why I
Oh,
started
yeah.
it.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
I like to think of myself somewhat as an artist as well. So, yeah, it's just you have to show the home a little bit of love because it'll show
Yeah.
when you start showing it.
Really great information, Rachel. We appreciate you joining us. And if people want to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you and talk about staging? Obviously, you can always reach out to us, the Venturi Realty Group of Real Broker, and we can connect you with Rach. But how can people get a hold of you if they want to just reach out?
You can check out my website. It's echinaceastaging.com. However, almost all of my work is posted on my Instagram page, which is echinacea_staging. Or you could give me a call. My number is 505-316-3262. So if you've got a property that you're looking to list and you'd like to get hopefully as much as possible as far as offering asking price goes, also, you could also really maximize your potential, in your listing and your first impression.
Yeah, we've seen it over the years. And of course, for Tracy and I, we've been doing this for a little while. And it really does make a difference. Now, some people, their homes are already beautiful. And I'm sure you've probably had those where you walked in and went,
Yeah,
oh, well, there's nothing I need to do here. But those people probably aren't calling you because they've got it dialed in. But
but that's rare,
yeah, I know.
right?
That
Yeah.
$150 is, man, that is well, well worth it. Really good money spent when you're getting ready to sell your home. So
Yeah.
again, thanks, Rach. We
Yeah.
appreciate you coming and
Thanks
talking
too, Ben.
about this. And again, we're the Venturi Realty Group of Real Broker. You can reach us at 505-448-8888.